Okay, perfect. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone's time this morning. I know you're busy and you have lots to do, and we always appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to jump on here and take a look at the help desk. As Amy mentioned, a lot of times, we're so busy with what we're doing, and maybe upper management doesn't know exactly how much we do, and so we've actually improved the help desk over the past couple of years to find ways that we can increase that visibility. We can document things easier. We can make life seamlessly efficient. In the same point, we're documenting things that we're doing so that we're able to turn that around and show the things that we do as a department. And so there's some areas that I'd like to cover. I'm just going to kind of give a quick, brief overview of the ticket itself. I want you to see the power of the form, talk about some of the everyday features of the help desk, and then we'll talk about documentation. We'll talk about tracking the things that you do so that we can turn that and show that visibility to your staff and to management, and we can see everything that we do. I'd like to start off by mentioning that this is a web-based system, and so being web-based, it's just so much easier. You can access this from a mobile device, Droid, iPhone, BlackBerry, an iPad, a tablet. You can access this from your computer, your laptop. It's very easy. We understand that you are often on the go, or your staff's on the go, so why wouldn't your help desk be on the go as well, making it that much easier to track and put things into the help desk. Now, there is a end-user web portal to this, and I'm going to go ahead and show that to you just briefly. If you wanted to allow your user to submit tickets online, there's some benefits to it that I'd like to point out. We've had great success with our customers with the end-user portal and allowing them to come on here and have a little bit of opportunity to ask for help over the web. In the same sense, frees up your time, your staff's time. You're not having to document, those things. We can get it into the system, and there's some power there where we can route things to different individuals or teams automatically based on what they choose. And so I'll kind of show that. Then I'm going to jump in more as a tech. How do I update my tickets? How do I document some of the tasks that I do? How do we make that really easy for them? And then I'll maybe show more of the managerial side where we can talk about automated tasks, reoccurring tasks, projects. Often those type of things that go undocumented, we can show you how we can easily document and show the workload that comes with that side of your workload. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to jump in here as an end user. Just so you know, for login ID and passwords, we have some key integration points. One of those integration points is with your directory, whether that's an eDirectory, Active Directory, even Open LDAP directory. Your email systems, Google, Outlook Exchange, GroupWise, First Class, there's some ones out there. Really, we don't have any issues when it comes to integrating with your email. And so I'm going to talk about a lot of the integration between the two. Now, as getting back to logging in here as let's say an end user, we're actually going to use your directory for this. We're going to authenticate through the directory. Like I said, whatever directory you're really using, eDirectory, Active Directory, we have the ability to do that. Just know that you're not going to have to come in here and recreate login ID and passwords for all your end users if you wanted to allow them to come over the web. Now, being web-based, it's really easy to make it accessible to them, whether it's a link on a website, a bookmark, a shortcut, right? You have some different options there for them. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. As I mentioned, there's some benefits to this. We don't have to allow them to do this. Some of you might be hesitant to allow users to go online, but let me kind of explain some of the options that they have. Now, I've logged in as Nikki Patterson. Once again, I'm not a tech, I'm not a manager, I'm an end user. When I come in here, the first thing you'll notice is that I have a list of tickets. These are tickets that I, Nikki, have submitted to the help desk. It's a great place for me to come for status updates, to see maybe the public notes to my ticket. Now remember, I'm an end user. I don't have the ability to come in here and edit and change status or anything like that. This is more of a view only, but it's kind of like package tracking. It allows me to see what's going on without having to call or email any, of your staff to find that out. We can let them, they can continue to work, continue to do what they do, and I have a place where I can come to see this information. You'll notice the marquee, phones are down, please do not submit tickets for phone issues. A lot of times when you allow a user to go online, you want to alert them, hey, we know the phones are down, please don't submit tickets for phones. The last thing you want are 25 tickets for a phone issue that you already know about. And so it's easy to take you a couple of seconds to change that if you'd like. Now I'd like to introduce you to the ticket, and I'm going to actually fill it out as an end user, really not to show you how to do it, but more of how easy it is to do, which is key. Ease of use is probably our main staple when it comes to the help desk. There's a lot of intelligence, a lot of power here, but at the end of the day, it's easy to use, which is critically important to your staff as well as to end users. Now, the first field I have here is group. A lot of probably who we're talking to today is going to be IT. If you're only using this in IT, then it would simply default to this form right here. Now, with that said, let me talk about some of the power of the help desk that we actually have here. A lot of times in different organizations, you have other departments, and we're seeing this more and more, that want to use a help desk type software, work order system, ticket tracking. I mean, there's some different names for it. And our system allows for that to happen. Really, the key being is that there's rights and securities that would separate these departments, meaning a maintenance facilities department would not see IT. You wouldn't see their tickets. You wouldn't report on each other's tickets. All of your customization is separate. All of your reporting, I mean, everything is separated based on the security and rights. Now, if you wanted to have access to multiple groups, you can. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a central place for the end user to go for help, whether for heating and air conditioning or maybe for their computer. They're coming to one place. They're choosing the correct department. You'll even notice if I come in here and I choose maintenance, and I come here to my categories, I'm looking at specific maintenance categories. If I were to come back up here to IT, I'm now looking at specific IT categories. Now, I'm going to pretty much stick with IT for this demo, but just know that there's a lot of power. Most of our customers are now using this in other departments as well as IT. Okay, let's get back to the form. Contact information. We've actually pre-populated this information from your directory. This is part of your directory integration. This is a default. If you have additional fields that you want to bring in, you can. It's not limited to what you see here. But the idea is to make it easy. The last thing we need the user to do is to tell us who they are, what their phone, their email is every time they fill this out. And the same with your technician. You know, we don't need to have to continually just repeat this information. For the most part, we're tracking it in the directory, and so we're just going to bring it in automatically. All we're asking the user to do is to fill out a few simple drop-downs. Now, these drop-downs are configured by you. Don't be thrown off by what I have in here. It would literally take you a couple of seconds to come in here and create these lists. It's very easy as far as the tool goes to adding and taking away from the category and category option lists or any drop-down really that you would see. I have it as hardware, network, software, you know, some of the basics there. There is some intelligence. If I choose hardware and I come in here, now what type of hardware am I seeing? One of the biggest frustrations that I see from talking to organizations and help desk is that, you know, a lot of times it's phone, it's email. You know, you might get an email and really all it says is, hey, I need some help. You know, and it's frustrating because like, okay, well, with what? You know, you may have different staff with you know, different skill set there that you need to send the appropriate person. You're not sure who. You know, there is some frustration. And so where category and category option come in is that we can maybe narrow it down. We can make this list as long or as short as we'd like, but at least we can get an idea of maybe where the problem is coming from. You know, we can look at that there. And then obviously reporting, you know, we can show category and category option and reports. You know, what type of hardware issues did we see? Kind of getting ahead of myself, but I'll cover that here in just a few minutes. But if I were to come in here and let's say I choose computer, let me talk about assignment. This is huge. This is part of the automation of our system. You'll notice that it looks like a drop-down. It's not. I should mention you can remove any of these fields from their view. You can make them required, not required. I would suggest removing assignment from the view of the end user, but I like to show it here so I can talk about the routing of this. The last thing you want to do is have to go in and look at every single ticket and then decide who to send it to. And so what we've done is we've created some automatic routing of this ticket, whether to an individual or to what we call a ticket pool, which is a team queue. I have this set up as an individual. Just note that you can send this to a team if you prefer, for dispatch or for your text to maybe pull from. With that said, the assignment is based off of any of the three drop downs above it: location, category, and category option. Some of you may have technicians that are designated first level support for a location. If it comes from this location, let's go ahead and send it to this person first. They can then pass it on to second or third level support if needed. Or maybe it's by skill set, category and category option. If it's hardware, let's send it to this tech. If it's software, let's send it to Amy. You know, you have some of those rights. And once again, you can send those to team as well. You can even base it off all three. If it comes from this location, if it deals with hardware and it deals with computer, then it goes to Gus. And so there's a lot of flexibility there. At the end of it, we're trying to make it easy for you and your staff. We just want you to be able to go in, set up a few rules, and then let our system take care of that everyday manual assignment of work orders. Okay, now you'll notice here a few additional fields populated. If I come in here and I choose printer, some different fields populated. These are example of custom fields. Instead of playing phone tag maybe with the end user, you have the ability to add a few additional fields if you'd like. You know, some of it's basic stuff. Is it plugged in? Is it turned on? Did you reboot your computer? You know, some of those everyday questions that you like answered before you proceed. You know, you can go ahead and throw those here into the form. You can make them required. You'll notice I have a variety of options as far as text fields, drop down, check boxes, radio buttons. It would actually take you maybe 3 to 5 seconds to build a field. It's very easy to do. We do allow you to go unlimited on this, but we kind of, you know, ask you to use with caution, because the more fields you put in here, a little bit more difficult for the user to fill out. But sometimes it warrants some, you know, additional questions when it comes to that. So just note that that flexibility is there. Subject, note, I can attach a file here if you wanted. You can put a file size limit on that if you'd like. You'll notice my priority and status are view only. That's just an example that you can make any of these fields view only if you'd like. You can even remove it from their view. Okay. I apologize for being a little long-winded here, but I wanted to introduce you to this form before I get into maybe, you know, the meat of our topic today. Now, once again, if you do have questions, throw that into the chat, and then we'll get to it at the end, and we'll make sure that we cover it. We do have a knowledge base where you can throw out some articles there for your end users. How do I set up my voicemail? You know, you can throw in pictures, PowerPoints, links, attachments, you know, things like that into here. You can build these from scratch. You can even take a closed ticket and move it to the knowledge base if you'd like. Real quick, this is public. You can have private articles. A lot of times technicians like to share information amongst themselves, you know, kind of like a SharePoint, a wiki, you know, something like that, where you can share information. If you mark it as private, only those with tech or manager rights to your department can view those articles, and so it is secure, where you don't want, you know, an end user seeing sensitive documentation or detailed resolution or anything like that. You know, you can mark it as private. Okay. I like to throw that out there because the knowledge base is great for that first, you know, step, easy, you know, everyday common questions that come in. You can throw out your top 10, top 15 frequently asked questions to the end user to shield off maybe some of those type of calls. All right, let's talk about documentation. One of the key things to being able to show the value of your staff is to be able to show what they're doing. And so we wanted to find some efficient ways where you could document everything you do. We didn't want you to have to take, you know, all this manual time in creating all of these different things within the help desk. And so what we've done is we've created some ways where we can efficiently track your day-to-day things. Once again, the web form from the user is key. You're not having to manually go in there and fill out tickets for somebody that has stopped by or called you. They have a place where they can go to do that. You can fill this out from scratch, you know, if needed. But I would suggest maybe finding some other avenues for doing that. Now, I've logged in as more of a tech or a manager, and so let me talk about ticket templates. I kind of want to start right here, and then I'll get into my different queues. This deals with the creating of tickets. There's 3 types of templates, and I have a few examples in here, but there's 3 different types of templates that you're able to build within the system. And the idea with a template is a pre-populated ticket. It's an easy way to document. The first one that I'll talk about deals with help desk. It deals with support, everyday calls. We call it a quick ticket. If I come back here to my ticket screen where I can see my assignments, I actually have a place where I can come in here and I can see a list of templates, like a reset username and password. How often does a reset username and password go undocumented, right? And it's because it's easy. It would probably take you longer to fill out a ticket from scratch than to actually solve the problem for the user. And so we wanted to find this really efficient way where you could track those everyday top 10, top 15 calls that come in without having to manually track them, manually put them into the system. Like I said, documentation is huge to be able to show your workload, to show your value. And so what you can do is that instead of creating one from scratch, you can open up a pre-populated one for this type of category and category option, as you can see here. You can make any edits here that you would like, but as soon as you launch this, it goes into the system as a ticket at the status. In this case, it's completed. Hey, I did this. This might be something that someone still needs to look at, so you can have this at a different status. It's just an easy way to get it into the system. For your everyday phone calls. I won't get too much into this, but we also have the ability to take your emails and make them tickets automatically. They are a little bit more generic with the information that's in the ticket, but it does eliminate copy and paste. If a user wants to send an email to a generic account, we can take that email, make it a ticket, give it a ticket number, and get it to the correct person to take a look at. And so there is some pretty cool automation. Now, if I go back in here to templates, the first one I showed you, as I mentioned, is more of a help desk, right? People calling, people needing help, and the ability to document it. Well, the other two types of templates that I have are a little bit outside of help desk. And what I mean by that is we realize you don't just help people all day. You have a lot of things that you do behind the scenes that people don't know about. Upgrades, updates, tasks, projects. I mean, there's the list is endless. People think that you're just out there messing around and helping people, but there's actually a lot of things that go on when it comes to updating, technology, infrastructure, and things like that. And so we wanted to find an efficient way where you could track that information so you can show that work as well. Dear Mr. Supervisor, boss, CEO, whatever it might be, here's how much time we spend helping people, but here's how much time we spend maintaining and upgrading technology within the organization as well. And so we can show that. So the first one I'm going to show here is what we call a reoccurring task. A lot of things that you do reoccur, whether it's preventative stuff or maybe it's tasks, projects, whatever it might be. What you can do is, let's say that Amy has a task she does once a month, and so you can create a ticket for that, and then you could put it on a reoccurrence pattern. On the first day of every month, I want this created and sent to, in this case, Amy, but we could send it to the appropriate person or team to take care of. Now, any time frames that you would want, weekly, daily, every other day, whatever it might be, every Monday, once a year, once every quarter, we can create this ticket, this work order, and send it to that person. Number one, great reminder, and then once again, number two, we're documenting it. We're showing that work within our system so that when we go into run reports, we can show time spent and the actual workload that we do handle. Now, the other type of template here gets into a lot of our projects. You probably see this term child tickets. Some of you may be very familiar with this, some of you may not. Our system has the ability to do a little bit of what we call project management, parent-child ticketing. A parent ticket being the project, child tickets being those individual tasks that happen within the project. A lot of times in ticketing systems, you just pass one ticket from person to person to person, and it becomes a managerial nightmare. You don't know who has done what, where it's at, where we are with the project. And so what our system does allow you to do is to create what we call sub-tickets or child tickets to, and I guess I should back up and maybe show you an example of this. All those different tasks that happen with the project, we can come in here and we can show in one ticket. Here are the 4 things that are happening, and you can make this view a little bit more custom. Assignment, status, estimated completion date. So you're managing the project from one place. Well, what we came to find out is that a lot of times these tasks don't all happen at the same time, and so the last thing you want are 4 tickets out there, and somebody doesn't know when it's their turn for the project. And so that's where templates come into play. If I come back in here to this new hire, and I'm sure that most of you are probably familiar with the new hire process, what you can do is you can build child tickets for the different steps. We need maintenance to put in a desk. We need computer setup, phone setup. We need to put in some, emails, rights, passwords. There's a lot of things that are happening. These are each their own ticket, their own assignment. They're just classified as a child ticket to the project. Well, you'll notice here workflow. This is where we can actually say, well, let's create a step-by-step workflow for this project. Step one, we launch the parent ticket, or maybe HR launches this parent ticket. Well, right away, we're only going to send out 2 assignments for the project. We're going to add them to the directory, and then we're going to have maintenance put in a desk. I love this because this allows you to collaborate with other departments. How often can you work together and know, the information you need to know from that department? And our system allows you that visibility with child tickets, where you can see, if you need maintenance to put in electrical or whatever it might be, you can see where they're at with that. Then once those have been completed, then we send out the next series of tickets. These are automatically going to be assigned once these have hit this status, and it's based off of the status that you choose. Phone setup, computer setup. Once completed, we send someone out there for rights and passwords and things like that. Now, you can have more than 5 steps. You can put these in any order that you want. It's just a drag and drop. It's really easy, very efficient. But at the end of the day, you're documenting the different areas of the project. You're showing time. It took us this much time for this section of the project and this much time for this section of the project. And you can break down, that cost analysis for different processes or projects that you do have. And you're showing the individual workloads of that as well. I hope I'm making sense there. Once again, any questions, feel free to throw those in, and we'll get to those here very shortly. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time this morning, and so I really wanted to focus my time on documentation, and I'm going to get into some of the reporting here as well. But I wanted to kind of take a quick break from that and talk about what I'm looking at. I've logged in as a tech or a manager. Probably as a technician, what I'll see will be my assignments. Very easy to prioritize my day to make it efficient. I want to see this by location. I want to see this by oldest tickets first. Any of these columns, you have the ability to come in here and sort. Now, you can also add to this. You'll notice here that I have like a ticket pool, right? Here's a team queue that I'm a part of. This is a managerial view. Just because we're auto-routing assignment doesn't mean that you don't see it. You don't see what's going on. And I can come in here, I want to see oldest tickets first, etc. You'll notice that I have this funny field here. Did you spell Coke on your keyboard again? I put that in here to show you that a custom field, a different field from the form that you want to be able to show here, you have the ability to do. And you can add as many of these columns as you want. Now remember, you don't want to get it too clustered there. But this view is completely customizable. You can take any field, put it in any order that you want. You can even filter it how you would want. And so there's a lot of flexibility there. Really the idea, prioritize, make it efficient, make it easy for your staff. Now, if I come in here to an existing ticket, just some basics. If I want to update this, I can add a comment. You'll notice here, notify user. I can actually send emails automatically back to the user with information that I put into the ticket. I don't have to make a separate call, write a separate email to follow up. I can do that automatically through the ticket. We also embed the ticket number in the subject line so that if they hit reply to this email, their reply will actually come back and stamp in the history and send it via email to the technician. It's pretty cool. Great for communication, making it efficient. No phone tag, no wasting time. We can handle that here. And the same goes if I want to change anything, a status, a priority. I just come in here, change the drop down, and it will document in the history. It'll tell me the day, the time, who made changes, what those changes were. Number one, history is great for showing what we're doing. Maybe you're working together, maybe this ticket has been reassigned and they want to see what this other technician has tried or done. We can see that. Number two, accountability, excuse me, where we can show what we're doing. We are spending time with this ticket. Sometimes the end user feels neglected, but in reality, there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes, and we can show that right here. Well, actually, here are the things that have happened to this ticket, and this is what we're doing with it. We're waiting for a part, whatever it might be. All right. So some of the things that I'm not going to cover today, just so you know, if you wanted to do a one-on-one webinar where we can take 30, 45 minutes and go through some specifics for your organization, we would be happy to do that. Just throw that into the chat. I'm interested in a webinar, one-on-one. or with your team or whatever it might be, but like assets. We do track assets. I'm not going to get into it today. Some great tools there. Number one, you can track asset information within the system, and then probably most important is number two, you can track or tie problems to assets for reporting purposes. You know, show me the Carfax history report for this asset, right? We can go in and see all the tickets associated to it, or show me my top 10, top 20 problem assets that are out there. You know, a lot of great functionality with assets. That you're seeing more and more of asset integration with Help Desk, and for good reason. Okay, I'm going to kind of conclude here with reports. You can run data reports, which look a lot like this. Very easy to set up, would take you just a couple of seconds. I'm going to stick to a graphical report. We've talked a little bit about some of our efficiency, showing our workload. And so what I want to do is I'm going to come in here and show you this report, and then I'll kind of back up and show you how we can make some different changes to it. What I've done is I said, show me closed tickets for the week. Okay, so I have my total time spent. That I've done this closed by category. So I'm seeing the types of problems that we are seeing. A lot of hardware. I drill down, well, what types of hardware, right? So we do have some drill down capabilities here. 46, well, let's get in here to boot problem. And then it shows me the individual tickets. I can actually open this ticket from the report. I don't have to go back and forth into the help desk to see this. Maybe this isn't a boot problem. Maybe this is a Nikki Patterson problem, right? I'm seeing a trend there, and so we can see that. Now, if I back up and I go in here, what I can do is I can actually say, well, I want to see closed tickets, but I want to see them by tech, by priority, by status, location, right? I have some different options. Let's do technician. And then let's come in here and let's say, well, what locations do these technicians work at? And you could do this in HTML, Excel, CSV, PDF, pie charts, bar charts. I mean, you have some different options. And I'm going to come back and show you the scheduled reports here in just a sec. But if I come back in here, ignore my title. I've changed the criteria a little bit. And now I'm looking at this closed by technician. We talked about, you know, how valuable my technicians are. And then I can come in here and I can say, well, it looks like, you know, ignore my work time tracking, but, you know, Gus has worked 50 hours. Bob has worked 62 hours this week. I mean, we can come in and, you know, maybe it's time that we added somebody, brought in another technician in a certain area. We can identify a pain point and find someone that has expertise in Microsoft Office, you know, whatever it might be. You know, we can show that here. And then obviously drilling down, looks like Gus is just on fire. I can see the different locations that I've worked at. A lot of value here. Now, if I come back, I'll just run a separate one. This is open by location. I mean, there's some different types of reports, you know, where I want to see how many open tickets we have, break them down by my locations. Remember, you have different options here when it comes to showing this. And I can see this by tech. If I go back in here, I can actually automate this report. Once again, the idea with automation is to make life easy. I want this emailed to me every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, once a month, once a week, every year. I mean, whatever it might be. You can even go ahead and have this, you know, here's your principal's report for, you know, some of our schools that are out there. Here's your principal's report for the month. Here you go. And it's automated. You can get back to what's important and you know, doing your work without having to maybe take time to do that. All right. We do have dashboards for your reports. This is more of a managerial function where you can take up to 4 of these per dashboard. Great enhancement tool where it updates every 10 seconds or so it's pretty close to real time, where if you just had some critical reports you like to view throughout the day, open that up, take a glance. You can even throw it on an LCD screen if you wanted. Some great options. I hope that my goal here has been to kind of drill in documentation. I know that when we think about documentation, we think data entry, which is no fun. And so my goal was to show you how we can automate a lot of that information. We do a quick setup with templates. We allow the user to do a lot of that documentation for us through a very easy form on the back end, or we even take your emails and make them tickets for you. At the end of the day, it's important that you show everything you do. There's just so much value in that. And once again, I appreciate your time. Amy, I'm going to turn the time back over to you. Let me know if there are some additional questions that you would like me to answer.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Gus. Again, if anyone has any questions, please put those through on the chat or the Q&A. I did see a question here, will this session be archived for later viewing or review? And the answer to that is yes, you will receive a link to the email, or you will receive an email with the link to the recording tomorrow, and then it will also be on our website at that time. But we'll give it just a minute to see if we have any more questions that come through.
Amy, will you put my email address back up? I guess I can. If anybody has specific questions or want pricing information, some basic pricing information, would like a one-on-one webinar, feel free to shoot me a quick email, and we can go ahead and get you some additional info or even set up a time to do a one-on-one.